All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. Man, this is a birdie fest.
It's a Philly show, baby.
Let's
go.
All right, welcome into Swing It and Ding It. And as you could tell, I don't know if we're trying to help our audience get better or selfishly try to help ourselves get better. But we are having on some of the best instructors in the game, and we are joined by Mike Malizia, Director of Instruction at Admiral's Cove in Jupiter, Florida, top 100 teacher in America. Mike, welcome to Swing It and Ding It, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. This will be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to talk to you. Obviously, when we do our crack research, you learn some things about you. And
hey, listen. I was young. I needed the money, man.
We don't judge here on Swing It and Ding It. One thing we do not do, at least while you're on. Then afterwards, we judge you like crazy. But yeah, what we like to do is kind of start off with the golf journey. It's always interesting, especially Danielle's in the game. Let's face it, she's working in the game at this point with everything she's doing. Harry is to some degree too. Me, this is it for me. This is as much as I get to work into the game. So it's always intriguing for me to hear people that are working in the industry, in the thing that they love the most, which is the game of golf. So take us through, a little bit of your journey. We know starting out as a player, and you started very young into the game of golf from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a club pro, so I tell people, shit, I didn't have an option there, right? I mean, it was in our family, so it was something that I started doing at a young age and got pretty good at it. I just loved every part of the game. And fast forward, I turned pro at an early age and went out and played. And I was really fortunate to work with some of the best teachers in the world. I mean, I worked with Mike Adams, David Ledbetter, worked with Martin Hall. I worked with everyone. And, I always say this, that I would be like the worst student, especially for me now, because it wasn't this is what I want you to do. So I would go take a lesson, an actual lesson. And I would go home. Back then you used VHS tapes. So I would get every tour player, every swing that I could get where this guy had the club in the position that they didn't want me to be in. And then the next lesson coming back, I popped it in and said, okay, now tell me why you want me to change. He has it there. So I drove those guys just nuts. And so I played for a long time, but my love was always the game, from the mental part to the physical part to why swings worked, why they didn't work. And that is great if you want to be a golf coach. If you want to be a player, you can't have all that in there. And so I had a decent career. It's great. I mean, it's helped me become a decent instructor because I can pull back on being out on tour and playing in a major championship or playing mini tours or playing for a living, because it's a different lifestyle. Right, Danielle?
Oh, yeah. Well, Mike, what was like the biggest lesson you learned from playing professionally that you can now apply to your coaching?
I think the biggest thing that I tell players, younger players, tour players, is that are, starting out, there's going to be a defining moment. There's going to be a time when you fail. When you fail, how you respond to that, it's going to go two ways. You're either going to look at that and say, okay, this is the process I now need to take, and I'm going to put all the chips back in and go on and bang it out. Or you're going to go, okay, this is the mistake I made. I don't want to make that mistake again. So what starts to happen is you start trying to play without making mistakes. And in this game, you're dead. You got to learn. You have to have a process. You have to have a direction. And then you got to go, man. You got to put the hammer down and go. No fear. Let it out. And guess what? If you screw it up again, you sit down, you look at it, talk it over with your coach, come up with a plan, another process, and you put the hammer down again. But if you get into that part where I'm trying to not make a mistake, and you go out there with the mindset that I'm going to go out to not play bad instead of I'm going to go out there to play great, you got no shot. You're done.
Now, do you think Adam Hadwin or Sahith maybe had those thoughts this past week where we saw maybe an emotional meltdown or, kind of childlike behavior with, tomahawking a sprinkler head and chucking a club?
Yeah, I mean, I get that part of it. Mainly because I've had frustration playing. The other one is I'm 100% Italian, so that's my personality. You have to, there's a fine line between keeping that inside. And you can't do that. That doesn't work either because you'll hold it for maybe a round or two and then you'll just go postal.
Loose cannon.
But you have to be able to do, I mean, that was just a bad break. It was funny as hell, but it was just a bad break for him to do that. But you do have to let it out. You try not to let it out in a way.
It was hilarious.
The regret,
and
the immediate regret of like, what do I do now? Was just the best part.
Stepping on it, trying to stop it from spraying. Like, and nowadays there's cameras everywhere. And if it's not a TV camera or a podcast camera, or it's the gallery camera, you can't do anything. It's got to be an element of stress for these guys thinking there's eyes on them at all times. There could be Harry in the gallery recording, somebody walking to go pee.
Yeah. And you got to remember too, I mean, when people think about the tour, and Danielle, you get this. Look, when you're watching golf on TV, you're not having that group, you're not having that following with every group unless it's in a major. Mm-hmm. So most tour events, unless you're toward the top, if you're in the middle of the pack, you're not going to have big galleries. You will on 1, 9, 18. So sometimes
near the bars.
you lose it. Yeah, you lose it. You don't think anybody's around, but that was funny.
It was funny.
What do you love most about teaching amateurs, and what is the biggest challenge?
Mm.
In a profession where you can help somebody get better, you're just helping people, be it firefighter, cop, teacher, anybody where you can help somebody. I think that's the most rewarding job there is. As far as, amateurs want to improve, but most of the time they don't want to do what it takes to improve. So that's hard from an instructor's point of view. So I have to take what they have and be able to work with that to lower their scores. It was funny because I did a speaking engagement, and one of the things with the younger instructors, they were asking me, advice that I would give one of the younger instructors who's going to come out, and he's not going to start with tour players, he's going to start with the everyday person. So the question I asked him was this: how can you make them better? And I mean substantially better, not a shot or two. I'm talking about 5 to 8 shots better without ever changing their swing. Mm. So he just kind of looked at me and he didn't really have an answer. I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you take the average amateur, you put my head or your head, because he was a good player, on their body, they're going to shoot 5 to 8 shots lower right off the bat, because we are not going to make mistakes. We're not going to make mistakes like misaligning. We're not going to make mistakes like misreading greens. We're not going to make mistakes like club selection. We're not going to make mistakes by understanding that every shot that we hit is calculated based on a miss, not a perfect shot. As my buddy Scott Fawcett says, when pros aim, they aim it like they're shooting it out of a shotgun, and these amateurs shoot like they're shooting a sniper rifle. I mean, right? Every shot that we hit is a planned. It's a planned miss.
Yeah.
And here's what I deal with every day, and it's funny with the average golfer. Ask them, how far do you hit your 7-iron? And here's what we get: 140. I go, okay. So 140 is your number? Yeah. I go, okay. Ask me how far I hit my 7-iron. How far do you hit 7-iron, Mike? 172 to 160. I go, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I don't play much now, and I'm older. When I pop it, it goes 172. So I catch it perfect. I will miss it all the way down to 160. Mm. So that's my gap. That's my range. So when I'm hitting a shot, that's in my brain. If I miss it, where am I going to come up?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll miss it all the way down to 160. And of course, then you have a dispersion rate too, right and left, what's your tendency and how far. So when I assess people, the first thing I do is I said, here's what I want you to do. You're going to hit a 7-iron. You're going to hit 20 shots at a flag, and you're not going to make a change based on the last ball that you hit, meaning it went right, so I'm going to make an adjustment. And at the end of the 20 balls, we're going to take away a few of the bad, a few your best, and we're going to have a zone that you hit it in. We're going to have a zone from front to back, and we're going to have a zone from right to left, whatever your tendency is. If you know that, now you can aim correctly. Because they think aiming at the middle, the 2 things I get, I like this one, assess your game. Yeah, I'm a good putter compared to what? What are you comparing it to? Right? Or, my course management's pretty good. Why? Because I aim in the middle of the fairway, in the middle of the green. I'm like, yeah, but you never hit it there. You hit 15 of those left.
I feel seen right now. I feel very seen right now.
Oh man. So yeah.
It's interesting too. Like the 7-iron is the go-to for you guys. Is that just because it's like the middle kind of everyone's clubs?
No, I would say I start there as a base.
Yeah.
As a base, and then the swings are different. Look at the wedge swing is different, and I'm talking distance wedge and not pitching, because that's even different too. Then an iron swing, then a driver swing. So that's why a lot of what I see is when people will come to me, they'll say, I'm struggling with my driver. I'm like, all right, well, let's start off with a 7-iron just because I want to get some. And I go, listen, here's the deal. You have a flaw in your swing. The driver for you brings out the flaw the most. It's not the driver, it's the flaw. There's a big difference. A ball in the air, you're hitting off a tee. The ball on the ground, you're not. Or vice versa. I'll see somebody go, yeah, I drive it well, but I suck with my irons. And I'm like, all right. So, when I explain to them, listen, your swing's either too steep or too shallow. If it's too steep, you're going to struggle with your driver. If it's too shallow, you're going to struggle with your irons. So there needs to be a blend. So I start there, but I mean, really with people who want to get better, and that's another thing that I do. I think that's really, really important as well, is I don't know what your real swing is when you come and see me, right? That's the base. You know where I know where your real swing is? When I put you out on the golf course, I'm going to videotape your swing. You're going to hit me a shot from whatever distance where there's water left, there's out of bounds right. I need to see when your central nervous system is stressed, what happens out there. Because it's really a lie. I call it the box. We teach in performance center, right? That's the box. You're in a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm. How many times do you hear, of course, I'm hitting it great now? Right? Like when people come see you, just because they're trying so hard to swing probably perfectly in front of an instructor. They're not on a course, like just playing the regular game of golf.
They probably already hit balls. They went to the range. They're prepped. They're warm.
So here's what I get. I get people and that's why I said I like to do it in a way to where I stress their central nervous system out. Because think about it. Golf's the only sport that you practice not on the field you play in. Right. So right off the bat, your central nervous system spikes. So I don't really know what their flaw is. I'll see a little bit of the flaw, but they'll come to me and they're like, oh my God, I'm hitting this big blowout to the right. I'm like, okay, you get up, stripe the first one, stripe the second one, stripe the third. So it almost gets to a point where they're like, now I'm almost trying to hit this blowout to actually show you what I did. The reason that blowout's not coming out there is because there's no stressors. They're on a perfectly controlled environment, in a perfectly controlled environment with a golf ball and a flag. They don't have water left, out of bounds right, the match on the line, penalty areas, bunkers, a club that they hit 140 and they only need to hit it 138. So they have all these factors.
$30 for the hole.
Yeah. So I always try to, in video, I always try to put my student, if they're struggling with something, I create a situation and then take their swing. And that's the one I really look at, because two things are going to happen under the gun. You're going to have a mental response of what you do. Me, for instance, 100% Italian. What do? I go fast, baby. You know why? I want to hurry up. And Brett McCabe always says, well, don't be in a hurry to screw this up. Right. But that's my tendency. I know what I do. So physically, I know what I do in my body. Now, what do I do in my golf swing? So if you don't have a process that deals with it before and during the swing, you're just going to fall victim. What you're going to do, the process is going to break down. You're going to make a crappy swing. You're going to blow it way right. And you go, there it is again. I slid ahead of it. But in actual fact, what happened was you started on the tee when you said, oh my God, do not go left. Right. And then everything you did was that. So a lot of the process of what you're dealing with. So I really, like I said, I really want to see somebody in a stressful situation, and I want to see what comes out, even in a playing lesson. And that's one of the things, I had this discussion with another instructor about that, because we were talking about it, and he goes, okay, well, playing lessons. I go, no, because, so I'll give you an example. I got somebody who struggles with their driver. Mm-hmm. Well, most holes, when you get up and you tee off, you always have a bailout area most of the time, and the fairways are quite wide. So what I'll do, if somebody goes, let's say they hit their driver 200 yards, I'll take them to a hole. We're going to tee it up in the fairway 200 yards away, where there's water left, there's a sand trap right, and there's out of bounds. So I'm just stressing, I'm making this drive. Now, normally they wouldn't hit that because it's a stupid shot. Hopefully they'd lay that up. But I need to stress their central nervous system enough so I can see what flaw comes out. So when I see what flaw comes out, now that I can give them a mental management system for their brain while they're behind the shot and getting ready to hit the shot. And then I can help them anticipate and focus on what they do under the gun.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's the perfect solution. It only gives you the best probability to pull off the best shot you can that day. And it might be, as JT did a couple of weeks ago, 78 or 62.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great insight, because you don't really think about, I mean, at least I never thought about it. Like a lesson is in that controlled environment. But it's a great segue to talk about your controlled environment and what you built over there at Admiral's Cove, the performance center there. I mean, this is like going to a 5+ star resort hotel. I'm surprised you guys don't have a spa there. Explain to our listeners what this looks like from the moment you walk in and you're right there's a bar, a mini pro shop, everything else, beautiful bays. Paint the picture for the listeners, Mike.
Yeah, first of all, you look at Admirals, and Admirals, just the reputation and the great job they do on both sides, because there's two sides. You got an east and a west. We're one, but we're across A1A. And for when I came in, we wanted to do this performance center. And when you do performance center, you really have to make sure it aligns with the rest of Admirals. So Admirals is just an unbelievable, I call it's a private resort. It's a high-end private resort, because we have everything. You never have to leave campus. I mean, it's massive. And so when we started designing and seeing what we wanted to do with this, well, we definitely wanted to have obviously my own bay with the technology, definitely the assistance bays where they can teach. We also wanted to provide member bays where they can go in after a lesson, because I think if it's just teaching bays that you have, then the member doesn't really get to practice in a feedback environment. And that's part of where we wanted to make it. If we're going to make this the ultimate learning center, then the members have to have some place to go to where they can train on their own time and get instant feedback, because that's the biggest thing why amateurs don't improve. They don't have a set plan when they practice, and they don't practice with feedback.
Or practice enough.
Well, that too.
All guilty here too, right?
But even when you do have the time to practice, you got to have a focus, something that you want to You can't just be out there hitting balls. But
Mike,
absolutely. Yeah, you got to have sort of a plan. But I agree with that totally. What's one thing the average amateur player can do to work on their mental game?
Well, when you start to look at, and I always say this to whatever field somebody is in, the first question I ask them is whether or not you know this, but when something goes sideways, you have a process. You have a process to fix it. What's your process when you get off on the golf course? You get going sideways. What is your response? So most of them don't have a response. They don't have a process. So to develop a process of what you do, understanding your response to it, because most amateurs will look at a hole, and it's important. This is what we do as human beings. We define and see where danger is, so we don't go there. That's what keeps us alive. The problem is the best players in the world then have a process to deal with that, change their focus, guide their mind to pull the shot off, while an amateur lives in the process, and everything he does or she does is to avoid that danger, which doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insightful, helpful for sure.
No doubt.
Moose, you good?
Yeah, you go. Why don't you go with go a little rapid fire, then I'll close us out.
Perfect. Mike, I like to I've kind of introduced this just within the last couple episodes, but we're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire, so don't think too much about it. Just give me what comes to the top of your head. All right. We're going to build the perfect golfer, combining a few traits from different players. So who are you picking for ball striking?
Adam Scott.
Short game?
Jordan Spieth.
Putting?
McCarthy.
I like it. Denny. And mental game?
Mental game, I'd have to say Tiger.
You have one round left to play. Where are you playing and who's in that foursome?
One round to play. I would say Augusta. It would be my dad. It would be Ben Hogan. And it would be Tiger.
It's a good foursome.
It is, yeah. All right. And last and final question. We are all from Philadelphia. It's a Philly-based podcast. What is your favorite Philadelphia golf course that you've ever played?
I would say...
now, Mike has some Philly roots.
Golf.
Go ahead.
But here's the other thing. Admirals is a Philly club.
Really?
Did you know that?
No.
I did not.
Admirals is a
Elaborate
Philly club.
on that. Yeah, let's hear it.
Have you ever heard of Philmont?
Of
Yes.
course.
Yeah.
Okay, so the owner of Philmont came down here and started this.
What?
Get out of here.
Okay.
I believe he was the owner, or he had something to do. So they took Buzz Garvin, who Buzz Garvin was the director of golf at Philmont. They came down. He produced Admiral's Cove. He started Admiral's Cove, and Buzz was the first director of golf. And big majority of our members, it's all Philly based.
See, Mike, we actually knew this. We just wanted to see if you knew that. That's why we had you on. We were planning this. We're like, let's see if he actually knows what happened where he works.
Yeah.
All right, but we're not letting him off the hook, though, to say your favorite Philly golf course.
We need to hear it.
I would say I haven't played like I said, my wife's from Bethlehem, so we get up there once a year. My nephew's the director of golf he was at Golf Mills. Now he's the director of golf at Bitterman. So I get up that area, but it's usually vacation and I don't get to play. But I did play Golf Mills. I really liked it. I played Bitterman. I really liked it. I mean, that area is it's so enriched with great golf courses. I need to get up there and just play.
Yeah.
Well, next time you go up to Bethlehem, hit up Harry, hit up Moose if I'm up there.
Absolutely.
And we'll try to get you out to a legit Philly course where you can.
I played Aronimink.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, which is great.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But no Marion, no Pine Valley yet.
I played no Marion, no Pine Valley. I had offers. It's just been too busy to go. I did play I played Hershey. I played the event at Hershey when it was the Nike Tour, and I played the event at Philmont when it was the Nike Tour.
Cool.
But
so you've got your feet wet around the area.
Yeah.
Awesome, good stuff,
In
Mike.
fact, we have a member here who's we have two baseball Philly guys. We have Mike Schmidt and Trey Turner.
Oh,
They're both
there
members.
we go. See,
nice, all kinds of Philly connections.
Philly hotspot all over.
Yeah, man.
There was a time when Mike Schmidt was thinking about possibly joining the senior tour back in the day.
Really?
He's a pretty good player. Yeah.
I'm sure he still is. All right, I keep threatening to go down and see Danielle in Jupiter, but this might be the extra reason to get.
Okay, not to come see me, to come see Mike.
Well, Mike, great job with what you're doing on social media. I know you have some great people helping you out.
The best in the business.
Continued success. We'll be watching, and I think you have a great approach. I love watching your stuff. You have just a great way you go about explaining the game. And I think it resonates with people. So continued success.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome when you see a coach give a lesson, then you can see he can actually hit a ball too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
All right. Thank you, Mike. We will take a quick break and we will be right back. All right. Welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. How about all those Philly connections with Mike Malizia?
Very cool.
Yeah. Admiral's Cove.
That sounds like a great spot.
The Philadelphia of Jupiter, apparently.
Yeah. He was very humble explaining that too. But that performance, I mean, the entire place, like he said, like they have a yacht club, they have anything and everything you need there.
Is that one of the elite places down there?
Yeah, I mean, there's several, but it's one of the solid places.
I think they did a playing lessons with a pro from there one time, and I got to look at a couple of the holes. It really is popping. It's beautiful.
It is. And that performance center, like I got there, I walked in, you walk in the performance center and there's a bar. And like, I'm telling you, like probably fits 15 plus people comfortably, full on pro shop, offices for all the staff. And then he has his bay. There's like 4 other bays. There's fitting bays for putting, for clubs, for everything. I mean, some of these clubs, the direction that they're taking these performance centers with the technology and everything to be able to teach, like we see Jupiter Hills and Jason's performance center, Mike and his performance center. It's game changing with what these clubs are doing.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. All right, well, let's talk about the Valspar. It was like it felt like a flashback from a couple of years ago. You have Viktor Hovland. Since winning the FedEx Cup in 2023, he's gone through 5 coaches. How we're talking about instructors and coaches. We probably should have brought that up with Mike. He went 8 months without making a cut in a full field event. And then all of a sudden, I didn't realize that. He just remembers who he is and what he's capable of. But I mean, think about that. So going through 5 coaches. I know it happens, but that's
months. How many events was that? He didn't make a cut for 8 months.
Yeah, and he won the FedEx Cup 2 years ago.
That was 23 was when he won the. Since he won that, that's when he went through all the different coaches. And I mean, it's so funny too because he seems like a level kind of dude, like. But
he's always smiling.
He's always tinkering.
Yeah.
He's never satisfied. He even said after winning on Sunday that he didn't like his golf swing. Yeah. There's a lot about what he's doing that he still doesn't like. I mean, he's kind of like one of those guys where they just sort of think he overthinks it sometimes. You know, he's just so darn good. But he's never happy. And then you talk to JT, and JT was almost like elated with the way he played.
And
yet he blew the tournament. I mean, really.
Like this close and finally.
Yeah, if he pars in, he wins. You know?
Yeah.
Honestly, what's
crazy.
That?
No, it's going to say he goes 4 under 67, 1 shot win. He's 3 back with 5 to play.
Yeah.
And then he bangs 3 birdies to pass JT. Obviously, JT on 16 goes driver and loses it, and then the bogey on 18. Right? Why? Right? Yeah. But I mean, talk about course management and use the mental side of the game. It's always that. It's funny though. Like it makes you, when you're playing and like you hit a bad drive or someone you're playing, it's like, I can't believe I just hit that bad drive. It's like, really? Like,
Right.
JT just did it twice in the last 2 holes. Like, it happens, right? Like, and that's to Mike's point. Like, how do you get back in your mindset to like get past that stuff?
Yeah, and we've seen it. This theme, like Harry and I were talking about Max Homa last week. You know, it's these emotions we talked about earlier on the pod with seeing the meltdown from Adam Hadwin and Sahith throwing clubs and everything else. The mental aspect and just feeling like you're being watched all the time. And these people, you know, just. You know, we see if they got a hold of our group text, they would see what Harry says about them after, you know, each shot. It's tough. I say it all the time. Imagine if I followed you around at work every day. You know, I just go to Home Depot and I'm like, this worker forgot to put this back in the wrong aisle, or they did this, they did that. Like, you literally, your job has a scorecard and is posted for the world to see, criticize, chastise, everything. Plus, if it's televised, then every shot. What the hell's he doing hitting this, you know, in the water, doing this 5-putting, 3-putting. It's tough.
Yeah, but I've never hit a sprinkler head. I've never broken a club. I've never
You're not a loose cannon.
I've never kicked my putter. I mean, some of the antics that we saw last week.
It's pretty impressive, actually. It's hard to kick a putter. There's
so
really
much
you can go wrong with that.
And then break it. He broke the shaft, right? Center of the shaft, and he apparently had a bad back. Like, that's why he pulled out of the tournament.
Well, yeah, see, there's something saying like, hey, I've never done that, but also we don't pay the bills by doing this, or we're not trying to.
But I know people that don't pay the bills that act like that.
That's
my point.
I've seen some putters.
Oh my God! I'm like, what are you doing? Like, dude, you're not
one of the best stories ever. My buddy Mario Russo, we're playing at, I think it was Ramble.
I know him.
You know Mario,
sure.
And we're like 4 or 5 holes in, and he just is angry out of it. Throwing clubs, so mad. He's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm leaving. Takes the bag off the cart, starts walking. We play like 3, 4 holes, 5 holes. Here he comes walking. He's like, I can't find my way out of this place. Put his bag back on the cart and finished the round with us.
Stop it. That's amazing.
Because there's like 3 different 9s there, and he couldn't figure out how to get out of it.
Wow.
We played 3 holes without him. He's like, all right, I'll just get back in.
The fact that he jumps back in, that is incredible.
That is hilarious.
And we had a guy playing in a group with our friends over at Calusa this past week, and you know, he's actually calling Brandon like, they're only giving me this many shots, and he's trying to like break it down and go through it, and just like the nerves and everything else, and getting, you know, all worked up about playing golf. And it's like Harry said, you guys aren't doing this for a living. Like, but that's the hardest part, like realizing that, hey, this is supposed to be a sport, supposed to be fun. If we go play pickleball, you know, we're not gonna throw the paddle. At least I would.
I'm out here because I enjoy myself, you know.
But that's like a new Harry, right? Like, didn't used to get like Harry's just. I need to subscribe to the Harry. You know, the Harry, whatever it is, whatever we're calling it.
Whatever I'm on.
Whatever Harry's on.
That play this game for a living. You had obviously JT with the second place. Bridgman, who was obviously a story, was in third. TGL champion Billy Horschel with the T4, along with Bud Cauley and Corey Connors, who just are at the top of the leaderboard. And then Lucas Glover, Eric Cole, like, you know, a lot of guys. Fleetwood, I think, who was the picked to be the winner. He was T16. Nico, who was threatening, was T16, and Xander, right? Like, you're trying to see, is he going to come back to form? A guy who had one of incredible year last year, but was overshadowed by what Scotty did. But you know, is he going to get it back after the injury? So it's interesting to see some of the guys that are up on that board.
I had this thought with Bud Cauley like trending, and I know he's boys with JT and everything else. I almost think that helped JT out a little bit by being like, wow, okay, like he's my boy. I've played with him. Like, you know, we've played the same style golf. Look at him coming back. I think it kind of fed him a little confidence. I mean, obviously that's just an assumption, but I think he's like, wait, okay, let me kind of focus back and, you know, get it together a little bit here.
Yeah. I took JT at 6 a.m. at plus
700 or him and Nico, right?
And Nico. I think Nico was plus 700 and JT was plus 750. I took them both and was very distraught to see JT make bogey on 16 because then I knew it was over.
Yeah, tough, but a good finish to the Florida swing, and then we had an extension of the Florida swing with TGL, which, you know, listen, say what you want, right? I think it exceeded expectations. I think for what it was and not having any idea how it was going to work, it really came together and it was compelling and entertaining, and the guys seemed to really enjoy it. And you had, you know, fireworks last night with Billy Horschel, you know, draining that shot and going crazy. And
it was an incredible putt.
They're talking about expansion now. They're talking about maybe building one of these in the West Coast and having, that's what I'm just curious about. And what happens now? Like for the next
what
10
does
months?
That, right. Like you said, Deanna's first birthday party. I mean, what are we using that facility for?
Right.
Yeah, but the hammer usage. How about I like too? Like they just changed the rule in the middle of the season because they thought it would improve the game.
And it did.
Who cares? It's a made up game that we're doing anyway.
This is golf. We're tinkering.
And it did help.
It did
immensely.
Oh yeah.
So, I thought it was great, and it was funny to hear some of these guys talk about it. How they started to sort of get into it as the season moved along and got more competitive. And I think that's really something when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago that, I was noticing that like these guys are really into this now. And that made it a more compelling watch.
So, I think one of the things that I like, because I was kind of in the beginning, I was like, all right, like I think just the lack of competition, kind of, it was like, all right, these are blowouts, like sitting here watching. But I think I started enjoying seeing the guys' personalities and stuff a little bit more. The banter I like seeing them laugh. And I think even though they are both, they're all famous and they have that on the golf course, they're now sitting in like a stadium with cameras and all types of people. It's a different experience for them, and seeing them like lean into it and just having fun. I thought it was kind of cool. I enjoyed that aspect.
I think a lot of the credit has to go to the ESPN team and the production, right? Think about the comparison between the match and TGL, right? You have just as many people mic'd up during the match. They have earbuds in back that you couldn't hear anything. They're talking over each other.
Yeah.
In here, they're going to people in real time after shots. They're muting other people's mics. That team and those trucks that made the production of it.
Yeah.
Like I thought it got better every week. And even like, last night's like they just were spot on. You got your boy Marty Smith, interviewing people the whole time,
As long as he just stops thanking them for their time. Okay. I mean, really, that's
a nice
Is there anything
fella,
else you'd like to add? Thank you for your time.
Just do that off the mic,
Yeah.
But and Matt Barry making a comparison to Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. That's a bit of a live golf oversell, if you ask me. I didn't need that.
That was a little Arlo White-ish of him.
Come on, man.
Yeah, but good stuff.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, it was fun. Excited to see any improvements or changes that they implement for season 2, and kind of, if there's restructuring of the team and how that works, and if the season's longer.
But I didn't like how they kind of forgot about Lucas Glover last night after it was all over. I mean, he was a part of a couple of those, wins and stuff.
He should have been right out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Definitely. Yeah. All right, let's spill some tea, Danielle.
Wait, I want to talk about the Florida swing real quick, though. I know we talked about it, but I want to know you guys' take on it, and if it's just me because I'm down here. But like, is there room for improvement? It's basically all played at public courses. TPC and Bay Hill should never change. Obviously, Bay Hill because of Arnie, and TPC because it's just legendary. But is it time to get away from PGA National and the Copperhead course? Like maybe get to some better courses in Florida? No,
never get away from the Copperhead course. That's one of the best golf courses in the country.
You think?
Me. Yes. That place is awesome.
See, I think like a lot of the players, don't enjoy it.
So many good courses.
They get their asses kicked in there. That's why they don't enjoy it.
But even like the field is a little weaker. Like, I mean,
well, it's because it's sandwiched in between those other big events. That's the calendar kind of screws it. It's like the old Honda. They got screwed.
Okay, so Harry wants to keep.
I love it.
Innisbrook. He likes it, right?
I love the entire Florida swing. I look forward to it each and every year.
And you like the PGA National?
Absolutely.
So you don't think like seeing something like Bear Lakes or Apogee or something, a place that has like 36 holes, and
Well, I mean, fine. That'd be fine too. But I love it the way
I would like
to
see Seminole, but.
Well, yeah.
They're
not.
I don't know if the membership's giving that up. Yeah.
No. They don't. They're like, we're good. We don't need this.
Yeah.
Stick a grandstand out on the beach. You're not touching that property with it.
Well, I know, like the PGA National and Innisbrook, they're public courses.
They're resort courses.
They're manufactured. They're in good shape. They're overseated. But they're fine. They present well. They get out the green spray paint and make it look beautiful and stain my beautiful white shoes. But, Doral was always such a great host.
They're coming back there. They're going back there.
They are.
Yeah, they're gonna go back there.
Okay, so is that going to be a new tournament, or is that going to replace something?
I think it's going to replace something. Not currently in the Florida swing, but
okay.
Because remember that was the Mexico event. The other Mexico Open kind of took the Doral spot.
Yeah.
But they're going to eventually, they're going to find their way back to Doral. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Our guest, Mike, that was his first Monday Q was Doral.
Is that right?
When he was 21 years old. Forgot to ask him about that, but yeah.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
but
crazy.
there's so
Have
many
you guys
good
played down
options.
there? Have you played the
I have not.
No.
No.
We need you guys to come do the Florida Swing.
I know. I'm going to do it next year.
Are you?
I'm going to go to all 4 of the events. I'm going to stay at my mother's place, and I'm going to spend a month.
Well, you could stay at our place when you're on this side.
I can do that. Do that.
Yeah.
I got tons of spots in Jupiter, actually.
You do?
Oh, there's like 3 or 4 beds that I can.
Hey, we'll talk to Mike. You just stay over at Admiral's. We'll put you in the yacht.
Right. Yeah. You'll stay on a yacht.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll into some tea.
All right, you guys. Finally, Tiger Woods has made it public that he is in a relationship with Vanessa Trump. Supposedly, the golf world has known this for a little while. I have to admit, I didn't know it, but when I shared it with some friends, they were like, everyone's known that. Like, it's finally just public. Did you guys know this?
I did not.
Moose, did you?
Yeah, I mean, just like a little bit before.
Okay. You heard it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But only like a week before.
Yeah. It's love is in the air and life is better with you by my side. We look forward to our journey through life together. At this time, we would appreciate privacy for all those close to our hearts.
Yeah.
Did ChatGPT write that for you, Tiger?
Yeah, you're definitely going to get privacy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay. So then I was like, immediately when I saw this, and then my head went to Kai and Charlie at the TGL the couple weeks before, like sitting there. I was like, because their parents are dating now. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if
wild story.
Isn't that the name of Tiger's yacht, Privacy?
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. He's always looking for privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
who took those pictures? That's what I want to know.
Well, yeah, right. And just like let's pose and just like, and then let's lay on the hammock. Like this will be our intro to our relationship. Kind of funny. And then you see Don Jr. then all of a sudden just hammering social with photos of him and his family and the rest of the kids and how he's just out there and not in a relationship and just kind of focused on his children. But
wild.
Yeah. She has history with Leonardo DiCaprio. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah. Apparently they dated for a very brief time back in the late 90s.
Well, she probably aged out for Leo very quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah. Yeah. The shelf life. It doesn't last long. Milk lasts longer than that.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, Tommy Fleetwood is the first player in PGA Tour history to surpass 25 million in on-course earnings without winning an event. Now, I told you Harry's been living rent-free in my head when I picked out, like, have any idea or any, suggestion of picking Tommy, and I just hear Harry saying, but he doesn't win. And this is just,
I'm going to need to see one first.
Yeah.
This is just proof. So $25 million earnings on the PGA Tour, wins on the PGA Tour.
It's impressive.
It is.
0.
Yeah.
It is. Good for him.
That is impressive. I'd love to see him win. Don't get me wrong. But,
same.
Yeah. It's a strong mental aspect with being able to just handle that and finish within that top 10. But then somehow it kicks in where you just, you don't have that ice in your veins to close, I guess.
But I did laugh, though. When I saw him at the top of the board for that tournament last week, I'm like, what? Really?
Right. Yeah. He was
Is anybody taking that bet? Like,
yeah.
I'll hold all that action.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but Charlie Hull, I've made the decision to stop smoking. So she bet $10,000 that she will quit smoking. So you can go and check out on social that she's like, all right, I'm going to stop slaying heaters on the course and in life in general.
Yeah,
so
she'll probably she'll vape or something.
Now,
it's not smoking.
I wonder why. Like, I wonder what the motivation is. Is it for health reasons, or just she think she's been told it's bad for her image?
I think it got too much attention.
Yeah.
I just wish she was 30 years younger, so her and John Daly could be the greatest couple of all time.
Older.
Or
he was younger.
Yeah, he was younger.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. He was younger. She was
Leonardo DiCaprio for a second.
Yeah. that whole milk analogy. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So, and then Scotty, he just said, if we want to figure out why the game of golf is not back together, go ask those guys. So he's just, saying, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to hear it. It's kind of an old story. So the same thing that we've been saying with Liv and PGA.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything on this Sage Valley Junior Invitational, Danielle.
I don't. Let's hear it, Harry.
Well, that was the event held at Sage Valley, which is like the Augusta of South Carolina. Apparently, the owner was a really rich guy. He built Walmarts. Like, he was the construction guy that built all the Walmarts throughout the South, and he's loaded. Tried to get into Augusta National. They denied him, so he said, you know what? I'm going to go across the river, and I'm going to build my own. And he did it. And they played this junior invitational there every year, apparently. They've done it for a while. Kai Trump was invited.
Oh, yeah.
And she finished plus 52 through the 4 rounds of golf, which was DFL. And it was actually, there was 24 girls invited. It's a very prestigious event for juniors. And the 23rd place finisher was plus 30. A whole 22 shots ahead of young Kai. So I think Kai was done a disservice by being invited to this because her game is obviously not there yet. It's a shame. She was probably just brought in there to pump up the event and get some press. And I feel bad for her. Charlie Woods was also involved in the men's side. They had 36 players. He was plus 11. And he finished 25th out of the 36, T25. But the winner was this Miles Russell kid. You remember him? We talked about him last year when he was he got an invitation into a PGA event. He got an exemption. This kid shot 9 under par, and he's the number 1 junior in the country right now. And this kid's unbelievable. The kid who finished second is Jackson Bird, spelled B-Y-R-D. And you might remember his dad was Jonathan Bird, who played out of Clemson and was on the PGA Tour for quite a long time. This kid shot 7 under par and signed on to play like his dad at the University of Clemson last week, too, for college golf. So we're going to give him a shout out. And the women's winner, Aphrodite Dang from Canada, 7 under par. Some tremendous golf.
Wow. Big dispersion from the top of the leaderboard down to the bottom.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to think, like, now with this relationship, at least for the time being and how long it lasts, that, Kai's going to get some of these nice little exemptions too.
Well, you don't think this is forever, Danielle? You don't think this is it?
Respect their privacy, Harry.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, she can get great lessons from Tiger. She should improve her game. So I hope she does.
Yeah, because she just committed. Where is she?
Miami. She's going to the University of Miami. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully she, pulls it together for some college.
That's right. All right. Don't forget, tee off with top tier golf balls without the top tier price at buymyballs.com. Top quality, recycled, premium brands for a fraction of the price. Go to buymyballs.com. That's balls with a Z. Harry, I'll see you tomorrow at Philly Cricket for the Truist Championship Media Day. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, looking forward to that. That's going to be pretty cool. 9 o'clock, I think it starts. We got to bright and early. Got to be over there. It lasts about an hour and a half, I guess, and we'll get to see a lot of people and hopefully maybe wrangle some guests for the future.
Now the last media day we attended, we got to play the course in Wilmington, right?
Right. Then it rained.
We played with the great Howard Eskin.
Correct. Yeah.
And then we played what, 2 or 3 holes?
2 or 3 holes, and then the sky opened up because I was there, of course. But that was shortly after Howard, recovered from that bike accident. Remember that was pretty bad. But that was a lot of fun. I'm told, or at least maybe I invented this in my dreams, that we're gonna get an opportunity to play the course, but at a later date. Okay, that's my understanding. So
all right, that'll be our first question.
Yeah,
that'll be our first question
exactly.
Opening question. Excuse me, what tee times are available?
I don't have a question for
Mr.
I don't have a question for Mr. Chitwood, but I just want to know, when can I come back and play cricket?
That's amazing.
My bag is in my trunk, just so you know.
Right.
Yeah. I got my bag, buy my balls. I'm ready to go.
All right, well, the Florida swing is over, and now we head to Texas, the Texas Children's Houston Open. There was a great stat. I have to try to find it. I know I retweeted it from our buddy Jason Sobel, but we have Rory and Scotty in the field, and they have combined to win a lot of the events recently. I'm going to try to find it, but so you have Scotty at plus 350, then Rory at plus 650. That's the shortest I've seen two together because they're playing in the same field, obviously. But yeah, this will be an interesting one. This is like a lot of people. The field is good because it's a nice tune-up, right?
Yeah.
Before Augusta.
Yeah.
So Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy in this week's Houston Open field. This is from Jason Sobel. In the past 13 months, there have been 44 official tournaments. They've won 11 of them.
Wow.
But 20 didn't include either in the field. This means they've combined to win nearly half that at least one of them is played in.
Wow. That's
Talk
dominance,
about
right?
Domination, right?
Yeah, and then you look at the drop off. I know we're going to see the line a little bit later, but you said Rory plus 650. The next player I thought was Aaron Rai, way down at plus 2,800.
Huge drop off. That's right.
Huge
2,800. Yeah.
So.
But let's talk about Memorial Park, the course, of course, sponsored by our friends at the Penn Club on second.
Yeah. A lot of these guys look at this as their final tune-up for Augusta National because the golf course sets up in a lot of similar ways, according to these players. You can hit it. It's pretty forgiving off the tee. There's not a lot of rough, and the green complexes are the major defense. So these guys really like to get this as a tune-up before Augusta in a couple weeks. But yeah, Memorial Park Golf Course, a public place. It gets about 60,000 rounds a year. And local Houston residents can pay somewhere around $40 to play the place. Was originally designed way back in 1936 by John Bredemus, and then Tom Doak came in 2019 with a big renovation. And that's the golf course you're seeing this week. Brooks Koepka also consulted with Tom Doak on the design of this thing. The greens, I said, are the defense. 7,000 square feet average size. They're pretty big with Poana overseed. Fairways, approaches, and rough are all ryegrass overseed. It's going to be pop really green. Only 21 bunkers on the entire property. And 2 water hazards, and they're in play on 4 of the holes. Some of the closing holes, 16 and 17, water is definitely in play. The contours on the fairways and the greens provide its main defense. It's a big Tom Doak thing, is these contoured fairways where you can get, lies in the middle of the fairway, but you got to, crooked lies, above your feet, below your feet, that kind of thing. And according to Doak, Koepka was the guy who said, these crooked lies really bother us more, than having bunkers. And that's why they said, we're going to go less on the bunkers, more on rough and some crooked lies, and that's going to torment these guys even more. There's a new tee on the 16th that's been add a little bit of length. The fairways are 30 to 40 yards wide, so pretty generous off the tee. Second shot golf course. The closing holes, the par 5 16th is 616 yards at its length. Fairway moves left to right off the tee, water all down the right side and surrounding an island-style green that's shaped like a bike seat. No bunkers on the hole at all. The par 4 17th hole, 405 yards. This fairway curves left to right, also with water all down the right. To a rhombus-shaped green with 2 bunkers short left, and there's water right. And then the closing hole, a long par 4, over 500 yards, 503 yards. Slight left to right from the tee to green, large bicycle-shaped green with 2 bunkers left and 1 on the right. And they're going to get rain down there for the first 2 rounds of this tournament. So the guys who are mudders, might be guys you want to look at to put in your fantasy lineups.
Tony Finau's had success here, right? He has a win in 22. He has a second place in 24.
Yep.
Last year he had Stephen Yeager with the win, but there were a bunch of guys that T2'd. It was Dietrich, Finau, Taylor Moore, Scheffler, and Toasty.
Yep.
So when you look to see the line here, Finau at that 3,000 number, not terrible compared. Here's a guy who's won it and has a second place, and you have JJ Spawn and Aaron Rai ahead of him, but maybe it's more to recent form. Even Yeager, if you take him in the top 5, I think he can get something back at 750. I like Maverick McNeely here at 5,000. You have Dietrich at 5,500 for a big number, and then Taylor Moore in a top 10 for 400. So some guys with some recent success here that could come into form.
Yeah, you've used Maverick though already for one and done, haven't you?
Yeah, I need to see.
Yeah, I used Jaeger too, so he's out. I'm considering Michael Kim for my one and done. He's just terrific with his approach game and around the greens. I don't know that there's any better guy going right now with chipping. Joe Mayo has really improved his chipping game. His numbers are incredible. Strokes gained around the greens, pretty good putter, and can drive it. Plenty long enough. So Michael Kim, plus 130 in a top 20, plus 3,500 to win. He's been lurking. Jacob Bridgman, you brought up his name a little while ago, plus 170 in a top 20. What a fantastic putter he is. And J.J. Spawn, we saw him, get very close just a few weeks ago, top 20 at plus 130. And a couple of matchups. I like Novak over Harry Hall at minus 120. Taylor Moore minus 120 over Grazerman, and Michael Kim minus 120 over Sungjae Im.
Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah, I was just looking at Tony because I was like, wait, what has he done this year? Century T15, and then cut at the Amex and Farmers, T13 at AT&T Pro-Am, Genesis T5, and then in March, T36 at the Arnie plus 3, and then a Players he was cut plus 8.
Yeah, he'll be a very popular pick on one and done. Him and Aaron Rye are going to be the two.
Because he finished runner-up last year.
Yeah.
I just took Tony.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good. I have the.
I need to get my picks in before I talk to you guys because this influences my decisions. Last week, I was like, wait, they both have Corey. Worst, I can be same numbers as them. Should I just take Corey?
Yeah.
I ended up taking Lucas, and then all week I was watching him go, and I was
See what this does to you?
It does. I gotta get my picks in before I talk to you guys.
Pretty soon you'll be cursing these guys and adding it on the text chain. This guy blows. I'm telling you,
Harry, I wish you would
spiral.
Give us more. I love the Harry text when he's like this person, this, that. I get your enjoyment. I love my group chat text with you guys and my messages from Harry. It gives me a little bit of life when it might be 5 hours after he texts it that I see it, but it still gives me a little giggle. I enjoy it.
Good.
Love it. Well, thanks to Mike Malizia for hopping on. Make sure you follow him on the socials. Great insights that you can get. And Harry, I'll see you tomorrow at the Wissahickon course.
Looking forward to it.
As we inch ever closer to the Masters, 2 weeks away. So we'll be
Rory
back next week.
There at Augusta yesterday.
He's grinding. He's looking for that green jacket.
Yeah.
Man, he's looking for that green jacket. All right. We'll talk next week. Thanks for listening.